Welcome to the Omaha Magazine podcast. It's about all of us, where we highlight Omaha business and community leaders, arts and culture, and where to dine and play. I'm Gil Cohen, Executive Vice President of Sales and Marketing at Omaha Magazine. When it comes to keeping a city safe, there are few jobs as crucial as a fire chief. Joining us in this episode is Omaha's first female fire chief, Kathy Bossman. We dive into her journey to becoming the leader of one of the most important departments in our city and learn about her vision for a safer Omaha. Welcome back to the Omaha Magazine podcast. It's about all of us, and we're here with Fire Chief Kathy Bossman. And really interesting. I mean, this is you've just passed your 1 year anniversary with as being Fire Chief, correct?
Yes, yeah. March of 2023, I was promoted to Fire Chief.
And how you were part of if I understand correctly, part of 4 or 5 internal applicants.
Correct.
That made it through the interview process, and the final decision was up to the mayor to decide.
Yes. Yeah.
So that had to have been pretty exciting to all of a sudden. But you've been with the department 20-something years?
I've been with, the Omaha Fire Department for over 27 years. Wow. You've probably seen a lot in that 27 years and into, I don't want to say work your way, but earn your way up to the position of fire chief. That's pretty cool. Thank you. Yeah. I started in March of 1997 and worked my way up through the ranks. I was a captain on different trucks, engine, medic units, and then promoted up to battalion chief. And in 2017, at the end of the year, I was promoted to assistant chief. I was the first female promoted into that rank for the department. And then, March of 23, promoted to fire chief. Fire chief.
And we had talked, we were chatting a little bit earlier before we recorded, significant amount of staff, 600 and...
We were budgeted for 669 personnel and 8 civilians. We're a little bit understaffed right now, not significantly, but we're currently doing interviews to hire a class towards the end of 2024.
Okay. And I hope you don't mind me mentioning this, but as a female fire chief, you're in a very small percentage, if I understand correctly. I think these were numbers from 2020 that I had looked at. There were about 23 or 24,000 fire chiefs in the United States, and only about 6% are female. So that's put you in a pretty unique class there.
Yes, for sure. There's not a lot of female fire chiefs across the country. I've been fortunate in my career. I was able to participate in an executive development program through the International Association of Fire Chiefs.
Oh, wow.
And I met another peer group, I guess, of female fire chiefs from across the country. So we stay in contact frequently.
Yeah. And some of the initiatives that you've been involved in, I'd like you to maybe talk to our audience about maybe some of the diversity inclusion programs and things like that you've been involved in to help firefighters and then also the community. Yeah,
so diversity within the Omaha Fire Department, my goal as fire chief is to really improve our diversity so that the makeup of the department matches that of the community. I can tell you through my personal experience as a paramedic and firefighter on the department for years, I know that having people of color and women on the department brings value to the service that we are providing to the community.
Yeah. And so how do you, where do you start recruiting? Obviously, you mentioned a little bit earlier that you're a little bit short, and I think the mayor, when she was on a couple of weeks ago, mentioned, in fact, that the police department was a little short, too, in terms of full staff. So where do you find firefighters?
We do recruitment year-round. Obviously, we have kind of what we call a busy season with recruitment leading up to our application period. We do applications once every 2 years is all with the fire department. So leading up to that, we work really hard to be out in the community and to recruit. And we have started, as young as middle school, high school kids, talking to them about their future and just introducing the idea to them that this could be something that you can do. And then obviously college kids, we're always looking at individuals who are exiting their military careers. We have a wide variety of people who are interested in careers in the fire service, and I love that.
Yeah.
It is great to have individuals with different perspectives and different backgrounds providing the service that we do to the community.
And and you may have mentioned this, or if I understand, you started out as a paramedic?
I was a paramedic before I started on the department. I went through Creighton's paramedic class back in 1995, 96, and then tested with the Omaha Fire Department. I actually started my fire career with Lincoln Fire.
Oh, okay.
I tested for both Lincoln and Omaha at the same time, and Lincoln's hiring process was much faster. So I was hired on Lincoln, but I was only there for about 6 months before I was offered a position with Omaha.
What got you interested in going into fire? Is that other family members? Or?
No, I did not know anyone in the fire service growing up at all. My first exposure to it was when I went through the paramedic training.
Okay.
When I went to college in Lincoln, I had initially planned on going to physical therapy school. And I applied a couple different times and did not get in. So I started thinking about, well, what am I going to do? I went to paramedic school and loved it. And we did all of our field training with the medics on the Omaha Fire Department. So I thought, if I want to be a paramedic and stay here in the Midwest, I want to do it with Omaha Fire Department.
Fire Department. And can you imagine if you took the physical therapy route?
Life would have been very different.
Probably a whole lot different, right?
Yeah.
So
I always say that was probably one of the greatest blessings was the letters of rejection that I received at that time. It didn't feel like it at the time, but probably one
But
of the
now
best
you can go
things
back
ever
and show
happened.
them and say, hey, you didn't think I was worth it, but the mayor thought I was worth it. And,
Right.
Now,
Yes.
Now I'm fire chief.
And this career has been a blessing, without a doubt. It's been very good to me.
So what are there, 24, 25 stations now?
24 stations, yes.
And is there one being built or a new one somewhere?
We are looking at adding a new station in Northwest Omaha. With all of the growth that has happened that direction, our data shows that it's really needed. So we are looking at different areas, and the city wants to purchase land so that we can hopefully build the station in the next year or two.
Oh, that'll be interesting then. There's one in that area, correct? Or is that?
We have one, yes, on 206th and just north of Maple.
Okay.
And then one on 144th just south of Maple. So we're kind of looking right in between there.
And on equipment, I've seen recently, it seems like the trucks are a different color. I don't know what it's like a deeper, darker red.
It is. Do you like it?
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. It's just different. You're used to seeing that bright red, and now these are just kind of a deeper, darker red. Is that
a deeper red with some black accents on them?
Yeah, gold too, a little bit gold leaf.
When I started, the fire trucks were yellow.
Or
gold in color, and they then shifted towards that red. It turns out for years the fire department was paying extra to have red fire trucks painted yellow.
Oh my gosh.
And so eventually they decided, well,
are these trucks new trucks then, or are they just been repainted? Or?
Nope, they're new, brand new. Yeah.
What's a truck cost? What's an engine?
A fire engine right now, which is the one that holds water and has the hose, that is just under $1 million.
Oh my gosh.
And a fire truck that has the ladder on top is a little over $1 million.
Wow.
So they're very, very expensive.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known that. I would assume they were, $300,000 or $400,000 maybe. I don't know, but I guess with all the technology now that they have to have, and all the safety features that they have to have, and everything else, they could probably get up there. That's very interesting. That there's the color change, I guess. So the fire department in Omaha actually goes back to somewhere in the late 1860s somewhere.
I believe 1860. Yeah.
Yeah, and started out somewhere in downtown Omaha, and then probably as the city grew, different fire stations. I think wasn't Upstream the brewery of a fire station at one time that actually had a fire.
Yes, they did.
They had a fire. I think the third floor burnt down on the building, and it's probably better off now as a brewery. So what are some of the challenges being the chief administrator for the fire department?
I think one of the challenges, we have a lot of exciting ideas and programs and thoughts and plans we want to put in place, and we just have to prioritize a lot of those programs. I've learned as an administrator, it is a slow process to implement new programming. And of course, there's always budget issues. So we have a restricted budget, not restricted, but we have a budget and really need to stick to it. We try to be very fiscally responsible with the money that we spend. So, excuse me, we spend a lot of time really researching and developing programs so that when we do implement something new, we know it's going to be the right thing for the city and the service that we provide the citizens.
And I know you've only been chief for a year, but you've been involved, obviously, as assistant chief. Are there some programs that are out there that our audience would be interested in knowing about? Or
Yeah, some of the things we are looking at right now is developing a drone program for the department.
Okay.
It's fairly new to the fire service, brand new to Omaha. We received a large donation from King of Kings Church to implement the program. So we are right now in the process of training our drone pilots.
Okay.
And the drones will be used initially to evaluate a fire scene or a large-scale emergency. It can be used to gauge the size and depth of a wildland fire in the area, or grass fire, or assess the damage to a structure if we have a multiple alarm fire, which will help with the safety of not only the firefighters working at the scene, but the safety of the citizens and the residents of a structure. And we're really looking forward to that.
And that probably would have, if that was developed, that probably would have come in handy with our, as I mentioned before we started, this will probably air in October and November, but the recent storms that we had, especially the tornadoes that went through western Douglas County, I'm sure that the fire department was overwhelmed at, trying to figure out what's there and what's not there, and
a drone team would absolutely be a huge advantage in a situation like that. You can quickly assess the area that you're working with and how much damage we're talking about.
So just pivot a little bit. How did the stations receive their numbers?
Good question. So our city is broken up into what we call battalions, and it's fire districts. We have 7 battalions throughout the city. Battalion 1 is at the east end of town. Battalion 7 is on the west end towards Elkhorn. And the fire zones are just broken up by battalions.
So Station 52 or 53, was that just random, or how did
the station numbers themselves?
Yeah. Sorry.
Good question. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
To be honest, how some of them were named. The last
I can understand Station 1 because that's downtown Omaha, correct? But
I don't know how they were all picked over the years. I know the most recent station that was placed into service during my career was Station 77.
Oh, wow.
And we already had a Station 71 and a 78.
Okay.
So they picked 77.
77. So in terms of, there's still a couple, if I'm correct, volunteer fire departments out there that are located in Douglas County.
Correct.
So how is that's got to transition at some point, doesn't it? Or is that? Was it Irvington as
there's
volunteer?
There's quite a few actually in Douglas and Sarpy County. We work regularly with Waterloo and Valley.
Okay.
Bennington is an example where they were all volunteer, and just in the last several years have transitioned to kind of a combined department. They have some paid personnel and some volunteers. So as their communities grow and as their call volume grows, I imagine that's something each of their agencies is looking at, is at what stage do we try to become a paid department?
Yeah, because population is growing. When I had the sheriff out here, Aaron Hansen, a few weeks or so ago, he was mentioning how the population, especially in western Douglas County, is growing. And I suppose if you had, a small population out there, you could get by with a volunteer fire department. But, you drive out Maple Street or Fort Street, somewhere in the 170s, 180s, 200s, and there's just apartments and homes going up all over the place.
A lot of growth. And I think they really look at the data and try to determine, cost versus benefit and how that all looks for their departments and cities.
Does that, and I don't know if that affects their tax base, if all of a sudden you put a station in there.
I imagine it would, yeah.
It affects your budget too, correct?
It would. Yeah, you'd have to calculate the cost of personnel, their benefits, purchasing rigs if you need to, and additional fire stations that have sleeping quarters in them and living quarters for the firefighters.
And the firefighters are still living in the stations when they're on duty?
Yes.
Wow.
They do here in Omaha for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do people still come and bring them food, or is that a no-no now? Or
it happens on occasion. We'll have, a neighbor or a friend drop by cookies or...
Yeah.
It's always appreciated. Yeah.
No, that's nice. But otherwise, the department takes care of...
Actually, our firefighters, they buy their own food. So
wow.
They work a 24-hour shift, and they start at 7 in the morning, and they get off the next morning at 7. They each pitch in $15 or so a day, and they usually make a big meal in the middle of the day and have leftovers or something light
the rest
in
of the
evening.
day. Interesting. It's got to be an interesting life being a firefighter. And
it is. And, they talk about it being a family, and it really is. When you're together with a crew for 24 hours, you learn about each other's families, their kids, their activities, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. If you can, talk about maybe some of the training that the fire department does in the community. I know several years ago, it's probably going back almost 30 years now, somewhere around there, I was involved. Sesame Street had a fire training program that they developed. Yeah. And I had a buddy of mine that was on the fire department. He came to me and asked if we would host a golf tournament. Mm-hmm. And that golf tournament, I was managing a hotel then. The golf tournament is still the Metro Hospitality Association golf tournament. It's been going on for several years, but we raised money for a specific training program for kids in, I guess it would have been elementary school. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know if that program is still going, but I'm sure you have.
I don't think that specific program is still going, but we are very active in the school system. We have a whole division of fire prevention called public education, and those individuals really work closely with the school systems. They have programs available for senior citizens talking about how to be safe in the home. Mm-hmm. It is a really great program, and our firefighters enjoy it. Our firefighters, even when they're working on the fire trucks at the fire station, will oftentimes be sent to a school. They'll help with school fire drills.
Okay.
They'll do programs for the school, give fire safety talks to the kids.
Yeah, that's and if you start them out early, then they understand the importance of paying attention to different signs, smoke or whatever, especially in a house where there might be an older adult. A lot of families are, living or, have older parents or grandparents that are living with them. And
yeah, we, try to really focus for little kids on getting out of the home, crawling to stay low below the smoke. Once you go outside, stay outside. Yeah. How to call 911. That's all good information. The kids love it, and our firefighters enjoy it as well.
But I'm sure that they probably do, because it probably helps them, at least if if some unfortunate circumstance comes up, and you have some people in a home that have gone through a class or trained, and they know what to do. It probably saves a lot of lives that way.
Right.
Yeah, and then. There's got to be significant ongoing training with the firefighters themselves. If you want to chat about that a little bit.
So our firefighters start out, when they get hired, they do a 12-week fire academy, and that's very intensive. It's a lot of hands-on training with the equipment, a lot of classroom learning about how to be a firefighter, what is entailed, and then after they finish the academy, they are on probation, and they're working on the fire trucks, responding to emergency calls, and working under the supervision of a field training officer. So they do that for 1 year and then complete all of their testing, and then they are a full-fledged firefighter. And from there, really our crews do training almost daily. They have what's called company training, where they do it in-house. Sometimes that is talking through different emergency scenarios, learning about new trends in the fire service, or pulling equipment off the rigs and actually training with hands-on equipment. We're always, training on EMS and doing CPR recertifications. And then every year there's a day or two where our personnel go out to our training facility in Northwest Omaha and really do a lot more training with multiple crews together at one time.
Yeah. That's a huge organization to run. But your education is, you have a master's degree, correct, in organizational leadership, and
I do.
Yeah, I'm sure that probably helps keep things straight.
I hope so. Yeah. Yeah, my bachelor's degree is in psychology, and I've always joked that I use my psychology degree more in the fire station than I would anywhere else. But yeah, we are seeing a lot of our firefighters have higher education, and it's really been amazing to watch and beneficial not only for the department but for the service again that we can provide the community. You know, I have an open door policy where any firefighter can schedule a time to come in and chat with me, and boy, we've just got some amazing people with incredible backgrounds and education, and they bring ideas to me that are just outstanding. I'm really proud of the work that they're doing, and they are going to be the ones that really carry us into the next 10, 20 years.
And that's one of the questions I was just going to ask is what's the career? What's the typical length of a firefighter's career? A
firefighter in Omaha will usually work between 25 and 30 years.
Okay.
I guess best.
There's no mandatory retirement though, is there?
You know, there's after the age of 62.
Yeah.
You're supposed
it's hard to slide down that pole.
Right. It does get harder as you get older. I know that. But majority firefighters retire, I would say, before the age of 60.
Yeah. And then do they stay active in the? Obviously, they're not working, but are there other things for them to do after retirement, or do they just kind of enjoy family
depends.
time?
It depends. Some firefighters retire and they want to transition into a similar job where they maybe are consulting or they're doing something still connected to the fire service. Others choose to just 100% be retired and go to Florida and enjoy their time away.
Yeah, we got to keep them here in Omaha, though. We don't want to move them to Florida.
Part-time in Florida, maybe.
Part-time in Florida. That was another conversation we had with the chamber president and with the mayor is, trying to attract people to come to Omaha to work. Do you do any recruiting outside of the Omaha area, or is it pretty much all Omaha-based?
Most of our recruitment is local. We rely heavily on social media to reach outlying communities and individuals out of state. I know when we recruit prior to testing for new hire positions or new firefighter positions, we do reach a number of people out of state. We've recently looked at applicants from Arizona and Iowa, of course, is nearby. So we do try hard to reach other agencies outside of Omaha.
Yeah, see if we can attract more people to move to our community. Because obviously, if you're not understaffed by any means, but you could use significant, a few more firefighters in the police department. The mayor had mentioned that, Todd, Chief Schmatter is short several people, and as we know, restaurants and retail facilities are short several people too. So it'd be nice to be able to. So if you live somewhere outside of the Omaha area and you're listening to this and you want to become a firefighter in Omaha,
check out our website or join OFD. Yeah.
What is the website? Is it?
You can find us on the City of Omaha.
City of Omaha website.
Or just Google Omaha Fire Department.
Yeah. And is there an application process on that to start, or do they have
All of the information will be on the website. Again, we just did a hiring cycle in early 2024.
Okay.
So the next time we'll be accepting applications won't be till early 2026.
Oh, okay.
But it gives people plenty of time to prepare and think about, ideas they can do to really get ready for the application.
It's probably one of the few careers where, God forbid they have to go somewhere, but and fight a fire. For the most part, I think Omaha's been pretty safe. We haven't had any major fires in the last couple of years. Maybe that chemical fire down.
Yeah, we had the Knox Creek fire a couple of years ago. We've had a handful of larger fires, but we've been pretty fortunate overall.
Pretty fortunate. And so it's got to, like I said, it's got to be kind of a rewarding career to be able to say, hey, I spent 20, 30 years saving property, possibly saving lives, being able to do some training and engagement in the community. And then,
it is definitely rewarding. And every single day is different. You might have a day that's a little bit slower with call volume, but you might have that one call that really impacts a large number of people in a positive way.
And trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, I would like to ask this: the new building, the Mutual of Omaha building going up. What's the impact with the fire department? Obviously, you guys have to be involved in that whole process, the building process, and knowing
So our fire inspectors are involved in that process. They work closely with the planning department and their inspectors and really make sure every building that's being constructed at Omaha meets the fire codes and that it's safe for people to be in that building.
Yeah. How often do those codes change often, or are they pretty set? Or
Good question. I don't think they change significantly year to year, but there are sometimes some smaller changes.
The only reason I asked that, I was down in the old market several weeks or so ago, and a couple of fire employees, firemen, women too, were walking up and down the street. I think they were checking buildings for certain for the defibrillator devices and things like that. And one of them peeked into a building and said, "It doesn't look like there's any sprinklers in here." And I'm thinking to myself, I didn't say anything to him, but I'm thinking to myself, I don't think there's many sprinklers anywhere in the old market, are there? Unless they were retrofitted somewhere, but
probably retrofitted. Yeah. And our personnel are very good. They get out in their fire districts and fire zones, and we have them do what we call a pre-plan, where they familiarize themselves with addresses, the buildings, where the exits might be. Is this building sprinkler?
That's probably what they were doing, is showing, it was just kind of an observation. And but, it's part of that whole training process, so they know what to expect. If they get called to blank building on blank street, they know.
Yes. It is important because that way, if you're entering a building and you can't see much because it's very smoky, at least you have an idea, on this corner of the building there's an exit to the outside, or I know where the stairs are. So,
cool.
If it's a residential structure, they know where the bedrooms might be if people would be asleep.
Yeah. So we're going to wrap up here in a couple minutes. Have I left anything out? Is there anything that you in particular wanted to
I think one of the focuses that I'm really proud of as fire chief, that we have really spent some time in 2024 focusing on health and wellness of our firefighters. We received, fortunately, a large grant, $1.1 million, to pay for health screenings and cancer screenings. Firefighters are often exposed to carcinogens.
Yeah.
So 90% of our department participated in a voluntary program to get very in-depth health screenings completed. And I think it's been an incredible opportunity for our firefighters to see where they stand with their health. But we also have a very robust peer support program. We're always focusing on the mental health and well-being of our firefighters, because they are exposed to trauma.
It's a stressful
and it's stressful.
Job, sure.
And, 20, 25 years ago, we didn't talk about things when they bothered us. We just found other maybe unhealthy ways to cope. So we're really teaching our firefighters to not only look out for each other, but to have the courage to ask for help when it's needed, and then have those resources available for them.
Yeah, that's great. If people want more information, like we mentioned, they can go to the City of Omaha website, and I think there's a link there directly to the fire department. And
it's omahafire.org.
omahafire.org. So you can check that out. If you're not sure what kind of career, or if you haven't picked a career yet, like the chief mentioned, it's a rewarding career. And you spend maybe 20, 25 years, and then you can retire and hang out in Omaha for your retirement. So, Chief Bossman, thank you so much for coming on our podcast this morning. Or afternoon, depending on when it airs. Yeah. I say that on all the podcasts because I'm not sure when they're going to air, but appreciate your service, and congratulations on your first year. And
thank you.
And you can stay there as long as you want, correct? Is that, you serve at the pleasure of the mayor, or how does that?
Yeah, I do. I could stay as long as the mayor is happy to keep me.
Yeah, very cool. Well, it sounds like you're very excited about the job and some of the initiatives that you've put through. And it's great to see that we're safe in Omaha with a terrific fire department.
Thank you. Thank you. Pleasure being here.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for joining us today. Check out the show notes for more information on how you can support the Omaha Fire Department. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss an episode.